الله من الشيطان الرجيم إلا الذين وقولوا آمن إليكم وإلهنا وإلهكم واحد ونحن وكذلك بل هو آيات أوتوا العلم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أفضل الكتب وهو القرآن الكريم في أفضل شهر وهو شهر رمضان غار وهو غار حراء في أفضل بلد وهي المكة المكرمة وهي الأمة الإسلامية على أفضل الخلق وهو محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. إلا الله وحده لا شريك له قيوم السماوات والأراضين بعث نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم رحمة للعالمين وأشهد أن we thank him for his mercies that he's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship, that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam is his servant and his messenger. Whoever goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today is a Saturday or Sunday. Today is a Sunday, the 25th day of Ramadan, 1444 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which corresponds with, I believe, with the 16th day of April 2023. Here to be called upon by my sheikhs, Dr. Tahir White and then Imam Hanif, to share the little that I know of all creations, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you observe, you realize in the month of Ramadan, and we're in the last 10 nights of the month of Ramadan. Almighty Allah, that we find ourselves in this time, because it is not by our will. We buried some people just the day before the month of Ramadan, and I know personally of a friend, a brother. May Almighty Allah safeguard us.
Amen.
And these 5, even though this is not a hadith, it's just part of, the ingenuities of our scholars. They say, Ar-Ra'u min Ramadan rahma, Al-Mimu min Ramadan maghfira, Al-Dhadi min Ramadan dhamanu bil jannah, An-Nun min Ramadan. That the Ra min Ramadan means rahma, mercy. And this is the month of mercy. Is compassionate towards his fellow Muslim. Where if I come to the masjid for iftar and I bring with me some bananas, I want to share with people. Hitherto, that will not be the case. I want to hide them and eat them alone. But because I know there is, reward of feeding a fasting person and getting a reward likewise, the mercy is what is there. I want us to have a question. Why did Almighty Allah place as-siyam that we're going to serve as, the discussion for today? Why did Almighty Allah put fasting between Iman and Taqwa? But before that, let's look at the individual definitions of these 3 words. Al-Iman, as-siyam, at-Taqwa. Al-Iman, kullu ma waqara fil qalbi wa saddaqahu al-qawl wal-amal. In the heart must relate to how you deal with other people. What is in the heart must relate with how you live. If what is in the heart differs from what we see every day, then there's a question mark. So what is in the heart is the Iman. Through our actions, we will be able to distinguish and see what Iman is really. Shaykh, when we go to Surah Al-Anfal, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ
إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم
نعم
وإذا تليت عليهم آياته وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم.
When they're doing something and then they are being, they are being spoken to concerning the Almighty Allah. My brother, ittaqillah, Habibi, fear the Almighty Allah. They feel the trembling in their heart. إِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. And when the verses of the Almighty Allah are being read to them, that increases. Like how? He said, don't you know that Almighty Allah said that there are some prophets, رُسُلًا مِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَصَصْنَا عَلَيْكَ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ لَمْ نَقْصُصْ عَلَيْكَ. That there are some prophets that the Almighty Allah has given the information about them. Some of them, the Almighty Allah has not given any information about them. And Bob Marley is one of them. I said, how? He said, don't you listen to his lyrics? His message is so pure and pristine. That's how some safeguard us. There is Labid, who was a poet. And one of his poems is pasted on the Kaaba in Jahiliyyah. He was one of the mu'allaqat. And one day he wrote, a poetry just, mocking the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the deen. And then one of the companions just wrote some verses of the Quran, and then he pasted it next to Labid's poem on the Kaaba. Labid just, and the Prophet read to him some verses of the Quran. And he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Because what he had heard was beyond poetry. What he had read was beyond what they knew. He became a Muslim. During the time of Umar ibn Khattab, Umar said, Ya Labid, asmi'na min ash'arik. Labid, just give us a rendition of some of our poems. And then he read Surah Al-Baqarah to Umar ibn Khattab. And Umar said, no. I said, I want you to read some of the poems to me, and you're reading Quran. And then he told Umar, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, from the very first day I learned the Quran, I don't think I can read anything else apart from the Quran. He put aside all his poetry. So these are people who understood. And the kuffar of Makkah, when they and they are the ones who rely upon the Almighty Allah. We are still speaking about Iman. What does it mean to have Iman? When the Almighty Allah's verses are being read to them, it increases their Iman. وَعَلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And they rely upon the Almighty Allah. احفظ الله تجده تجاهك لو أن الناس اجتمعوا على أن ينفعوك بشيء اجتمعوا على لا ما قد كتبه الله لك رفعت الأقلام وجفت الصحف إنما الأمر بالقدر. The Prophet told him, oh boy, listen, I'm going to teach you some words. احفظ الله يحفظك. Be mindful of the Almighty Allah, He's going to protect you. احفظ Allah, you're going to find Him next to you. You're going to find Him in front of you. You're going to find Him. Allah's decreed for you. رفعت الأقلام وجفت الصحف. The pens have been lifted and the pages are dry. It's going to happen in this dunya has already preordained. The problem is particular of what other people have in the dunya. So we are never satisfied with what the Almighty Allah has given us. I'm always concerned with what you have. What I have, I don't see it. So I'll be blessed in different ways, but no. So long as I don't have what you have, that's a problem. And that was and jealousy within the Muslim community. Where I don't love you, I don't like you. Because you've been given a ni'mah that زَهَرَتَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا لِنَفْتِنَهُمْ فِيهِ وَرِزْقُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرٌ وَحَبَقًا. Do not peek and try to see what the Almighty Allah has given other people. زَهَرَتَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيا is just a glittering of the dunya. But understand one thing. وَرِزْقُ رَبِّكَ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. The provision of your Lord, giving the lecture or leading the discussion. But my sheikh is here in the audience, he's listening to me. Does it mean that I'm better? No. It's just that I've been invited as a visitor and I've been respected. And that's it. Every one of us is blessed in the way. And then when you are those who establish Salah. Those who establish salah. And the establishment of the salah is you do it on time. I'm not practicing. I can't get my head around it. Seriously. I don't understand it that someone says I'm a Muslim but I'm not practicing. It's like saying you are a citizen but you don't follow the laws. You don't go by the laws of the country. The birds came to the funeral. And they said, no, this guy, he has wings just like us. But then he like our head. He doesn't belong to us. They left him. They left the bat. Then the cats and the dogs came around. But he has wings. We don't have wings. And they left him there to rot. The story is that let people know where you stand. If you're a Muslim, be a Muslim. If you're not going to be a Muslim, don't be a Muslim. But if you say I'm a Muslim but I am practicing, that's not how Islam works. In Islam, you practice. So الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ and then they have a noble provision from the Almighty Allah. So when you say you are a believer, this is what the dunya might see you as someone who is just nobody, but with Almighty Allah, you are someone who is what? Who is powerful. And then He forgives you, and then He provides for you in this dunya and the akhirah. When we say we are believers, the Almighty Allah has thamarat al-iman. They are fruits of iman. Shaykh Surah
الأرض هم في الأرض كما استخلف الذين من قبل لهم دينهم الذي ارتضى لهم وليبدلنهم من بعد خوفهم ولا يشركون بي شيئا
يعبدونني. Allah has promised those who have believed among you وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and then they do good things. So of the iman that we have in our hearts, when we do that, He says لَيَسْتَخْلِفَنَّهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ, He will surely grant them succession, authority upon the earth. When you say you are a believer, the Almighty Allah gives us authority on the surface of the earth. So when you are a believer, don't be timid. Don't be scared to let the non-Muslims know you are a Muslim. At your workplace, in your neighborhood, let your lifestyle depict that you are really a Muslim. Let the non-Muslims feel the fragrance of Islam from you. Don't hide. Don't cover up. Don't think if you are a Muslim, you'll be fired from your job. Don't think if you say you are a Muslim, you'll not be promoted. Don't think that you're in this firm, you're in this company, in this job. Issues. No, let me give him, does he have anything to tell me? He said he's a Muslim. But when you guys came and I asked you, do you have anything to tell me? You didn't say anything. So you're going to come to work. I was given 2 weeks break with a pay. In New York City here. Then there was a layoff. And he was part of those who were laid off. Not look at this guy for 10 minutes, falling, getting up, falling, getting up. So after a couple of days, he didn't see him falling, getting up. And then he called, this company is like, there's a guy who, around, 12:30, 1:30, that time around. And then he prays, and then, we had some financial difficulties, so we laid over some of the workers. So he's part of those who have been laid over. So, okay, no. Are you so and so? He said, yes, I want to see you. He said, what are you doing there? He said, I'm praying. Said, and where are you now? He said, I don't have a job now, so I'm just looking for a job. He said, come and pray and I'll pay you. He offers salah in New York City and is being paid. This is in New York City. He offers salah, he's being paid. That's what he does. We were weaklings and the Almighty Allah uplifted us with Islam. If at any point we want to seek power or dominance or dominion, not through Islam, the Almighty Allah is going to bring us down. So hold your head high as a Muslim. That doesn't mean you're going to be arrogant. No. It's just self-esteem. And that's what Islam brings with it. And then he said, وَلَيُمَكِّنَنَّهُمْ دِينَهُمُ الَّذِي ارْتَضَى لَهُمْ. And the Almighty Allah is going to surely establish for them We believe in Almighty Allah. The Almighty Allah is going to establish for us the religion. And then, وَلَيُبَدِّلَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ خَوْفِهِمْ أَمْنًا. He's going to substitute for us, after our fear, security. يَعْبُدُونَ لِلَّهِ. The linguistic meaning. The technical meaning within the Sharia is that you protect yourself or you deny yourself from dawn to dusk. We all know it. We all know the definition of as-siyam. But then, as-siyam is also a sir, a secret between you. It's only the Almighty Allah who knows the fasting person, because it's not written on the forehead and nobody has a name tag for it. You ate and drunk and fine. You come to the masjid, you're like, today person, because it is a sir between the Almighty Allah and the servant. And then also, al-iman is also a sir between you and the Almighty Allah, because it's not written on our foreheads that what we are believers. Let's go fast. I don't want us to spend much. If you have the means to get married, get married, because this is some of the virtues of the marriage. It protects you. It closes. Fasting has been instituted so that those of us who have food to eat all the time will remember those who do not have food to eat all the time. Some people are by default fasting all the time, but you and I, by the virtue and the food first. إذا جادت عليك الدنيا فجد بها على الناس لأنها تتقلب. People, because the shades of the dunya, they move. If you are well to do today, don't forget there are other people who are not well to do, the needy in the community. Some people are in need of the haram. There are some people ask. We need to observe, to rate them, or not to look down upon them, but to help them. And anytime we help people, let's not embarrass them when we help them. Let's not embarrass them. Was sitting, have dinner with his wife, and there was someone who knocked the door. Salaam alaikum, I need food, I'm hungry. It is days of the Almighty Allah. He turns it on his servant. Today is you, tomorrow is not going to be you. He had to divorce her. She got married to another man, and then she was sitting having dinner with this new husband, and then another person came knocking on the door. You know very well we have a store where we have more food. She said, no, that's not why I'm crying. And he asked her, why are you crying then? She said, do you know the person who came to ask for food, who came begging? He said, I didn't go, you went. She said, that is my former husband. And then he asked her, do you really know who I am? She said, you are my husband. He said, no, I'm the first person who came begging. And then you drove me away. That is the dunya. وَهَذِهِ هِيَ الْحَقِيقَةُ الدُّنْيَا. So we go through this fasting. Part of the hikmah and part of the lesson is that those of us who have food by default will know. Putting a partition, a barrier between yourself and the chastisement of the Almighty Allah. That's a taqwa. That's also another class on its own. But then the Almighty Allah tells us in the Quran, وَتَزَوَّدُوا. Allah. The best of provision in this dunya and the akhirah is the fear of the Almighty Allah. That you left behind, it has been distributed. Some people, they dug wells with it. Some people built masajid with it. Some of your kids, they went to Umrah with your money. Some of your kids, they built madaris for you. Some of your kids, they dug. أموالكم قد قسمت ودوركم قد سكنها غيركم. And the homes that you left behind, others other than you are the ones living in those homes. وَأَمَّا أَزْوَاجُكُمْ. Your wives قد تزوجن بغيركم. They have gotten married to other men. Embraces you. When he embraces her and then she embraces him, she's going to forget about you and you are rotting in the grave. So whatever money you have now, invest in the path of the Almighty Allah. And then Imam O people of the grave, this is the message I have for you. Do you have any message for us? And his companions are like, yeah, Imam, you're speaking to them as if they hear. And the Imam Ali told them, لو شاء الله لهم أن يتكلموا لقالوا إن خير الزاد التقوى. If the people in the grave, the Almighty Allah is going to give them the permission to speak, they will say the best of provisions is at-taqwa. Allah, your fasting is not going to be established unless you have fasting leads you to at-taqwa, because all these three things are دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم. No questions. If you have any questions, my Sheikh and Doctor is here. He's going to answer the questions. Yes, the Sheikh reminded me concerning Zakat al-Fitr. I think one of our Salaf, the name escapes me, he says Zakat to our Ramadan, our fasting, is like sujood sahw as compared to our salah. The sujood sahw we do not have. So help, give out. And I think for but for you use pounds. I don't know. Cups. Pounds? Cups. Cups. You know, America, you are different from the rest of the world. No.
It's a measurement of volume.
Well, yes, a sa.
Sa is 13 and a half cups.
No, okay, 13 and a half cups.
Yeah. By then, when you look in the side of the ingredients,
to the people who need them, and then give them something that they can work with within the communities that they found themselves in. Morning of Eid, we don't eat dates like that. You're going to give him issues. And I think the Sheikh is here, he's going to explain more on that. You're going to give him issues. He can't be eating dates all morning before he goes to work. He goes to Eid. And I think the Sheikhs have expounded more on that concerning, where we found ourselves. But then, just as a reminder, do not forget. And on Thursday, that's 29th of Ramadan. And tentatively, we might pray on Friday or Saturday. Try as much as possible to start giving out your zakat al-fitr early. Don't say because maybe that Eid is Friday or Saturday, so I'm going to wait. What if the Eid is on Friday? So you can start giving your zakat al-fitr from now, actually. Assalamu alaikum. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت